Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So welcome again to this Bhakti Sangha newsletter interview. So this month we will be having with us His Grace Ramgiridhari Prabhuji for interview for Bhakti Sangha newsletter. And we are really very fortunate, Prabhuji, and very thankful to you for giving your valuable time and association today for giving us this interview. So before we start the interview, I would like to read a small introduction about Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you so much for His Grace Ramgiridhari Prabhuji for accepting to give his valuable time and association today for this Bhakti Sangha newsletter interview, which we are conducting for every month. And so before diving into the interview, I would like to read introduction about Prabhuji. His Grace Ramgiridhari Prabhuji is a disciple of His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj, practicing Krishna consciousness since 1989, and he is from Srirangam, Tamil Nadu, India, and is currently living in Navy, Mumbai. He is a trustee in Bhakti Vedanta College, Radhadesh, and Alfred Ford School of Management, Belgium. He is responsible for collecting annual reports from all the ISKCON temples, preaching centers, Namahatas, and process and maintain the database. This service is under the purview of Governing Body Council of ISKCON. And Prabhuji is a director of North American Institute of Oriental and Classical Studies, Tennessee, and Prabhuji is one of the leaders of Congregation Development Initiative of ISKCON, Navy Mumbai, and Prabhuji organizes programs and preaches to youth, young children and youths in Mumbai. And Prabhuji academic qualification is he has done his master's in software systems from Birla Institute of Technology and Science, BITS Pilani, and bachelor's of engineering, electronics and instrumentation from Anna University, Chennai. And Prabhuji is a co-founder, managing director and CEO of Gauranga Softtech Private Limited, a software development and technology services company since 2007. And Prabhuji is also co-founder and director of Golaka Education and Educational Resource Development Company since 2011. And he is also co-founder and director of Vocal Kids Education and Early Childhood Education Initiative of Golaka Education. And Prabhuji has been a speaker on Bhakti Sangha since 2017, and he is also a regular speaker. And I would like to say that we are fortunate to have him as with us every time on the call, giving his association and his wonderful realization to all of us. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for accepting the invite and coming on the call. Hare Krishna. So much. So Prabhuji, just let us know that your journey in Krishna consciousness, like how you came into Krishna consciousness and how you got connected to His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj.
First of all, thank you so much for having me in this session and finding it really a humbling experience, because whatever little bit of Krishna consciousness understanding that I have, all credit goes to my Guru Maharaj as well as all my seniors who have invested the time and gave their blessings. So my beginning of Krishna consciousness started, especially within this Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, started in September 1989. I was in my grade 7 at that time. I'm blessed to have been born in a traditional South Indian Smarta family. My parents, right from the beginning of my birth in our family, we had this traditional ecosystem where maybe little orthodox, maybe little sahaja, maybe little karma kanda, but at least it was very dharmic upbringing. I don't remember if my parent ever took me to any places which otherwise would distract me from spiritual affairs, and they had always nurtured and took me to Krishna consciousness, a devotional setup, some bhajan, some sankirtan, learning of some abhangas, and So I definitely want to prostrate my obeisances to my father and mother, who definitely gave that footing. So it was actually my father who called me once to one of the local temple where traveling Sankirtan party, his Holiness Bhanu Swami Maharaj, and along with him a group of Sankirtan devotees had visited. So they had visited, and I was at home, I was studying, or maybe I was at home. My father called me over and said that, please come over, what are you doing? Look at these foreigners, the way they are jumping and dancing and singing and performing kirtan. So my father was a local school teacher, so he had sent one of his students to. I was living in a small called Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited Township. So I was called over, and that was the first instance of me seeing a devotee, Hare Krishna devotee, non-Indian bodied, performing some sort of a different experience, because from South Indian tradition, these types of gestures were unusual. We sit and sing bhajans, or we stand or we chant some prayers. Here, these devotees were like dancing and jumping, and it was very wonderful. And that day, my first Pad Pradaksha Guru, His Grace Balram Krishna Prabhu, he had met my father and requested, why don't you send your son to our satsang? So there in the temple where the devotees arrived, every Saturday they used to have a program. And I had this good fortune of learning this mridangam. I do not know if you have seen this South Indian mridangam. It's not the coal, a typical mridanga which is made of this wood. So I had been going for some classes, and I knew how to play them. So when I was invited, he said that he can participate in kirtan and also play mridanga. So that had a small reason for me to, my parents also to push me in, and for me to also join. So that's my first beginning or first encounter with devotees. And every Saturday, my house and the temple was just 2 minutes walking distance. So I used to regularly visit, and then he slowly invited me to Sunday evening. In those days, there were no local temples. There were temples in India, in Tamil Nadu, were only in Coimbatore and Chennai. There were no other place in Tamil Nadu. We had ISKCON temples. Now, by the blessings of Srila Prabhupada and all the preachers, we have several temples. So what used to happen is our colony, this Balram Krishna Prabhu's house, used to be our congregation Namahata, or what we call as what nowadays we call as Bhakti Vriksha. That used to be a Namahata setup, where all the colony members, few of us, used to regularly go on Sundays, and all I would do is just play mridanga, and I wouldn't understand a bit of philosophy. As a 7th grader, I just had my interest in getting my identity established. So I used to get a lot of appreciation. And this guy is playing very nice mridanga, and I had a little bit acumen of singing, and definitely the prasadam was Hindu Mataji's prasadam was very nice. So that is how I began. I was definitely not drawn for philosophy, nor I had a intelligence to understand them. But for sure, I would say that the blessings of my parents, as well as Balram Krishna Prabhu, who somehow saw some spark or whatever positivity, and he definitely fired correctly. He definitely fired my ego or my interest or my whatever the way I could get clued, and I never returned back. Of course, I had lots of ups and downs in my journey in Krishna consciousness, but till now, by the blessings of all those elders, I'm staying put. So that's when the beginning of my Krishna consciousness started, and that was in 1989. And in 1991, for the first time, His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj visited our Srirangam temple. So Srirangam is the same city as where we grew up, and Jayapataka Maharaj came to our congregation. We had a 3-day festival. Jayapataka Maharaj, His Holiness Bhanu Maharaj, His Holiness Bhakti Purushottam Maharaj, along with some group of devotees, they had come. So that was the first encounter. Of course, in those days, even in the Namahattas, they encourage, speak about, glorify about their own gurus, along with glorifying Srila Prabhupada. So we knew about Jayapataka Maharaj, we have seen his pictures, and but there was no personal association or personal interaction. But when Maharaj came, of course, for me, his Guru Maharaj came, we had a good fortune, because typically in the colony setup, we were a group of like 25, 30, 40 devotees, but very, very interesting preaching programs we used to be doing. So we had 3 days of wonderful association with Jayapataka Maharaj, and I had lots of personal opportunity. And one of the very first thing that I remember, which sustained me even till today in Krishna consciousness, is Balram Krishna Prabhu's wife. She gave the Uchishta of Jayapataka Maharaj. So she said that this is Guru Maharaj's Mahaprasadam, you have it. I didn't know what it is, what it means to be a Mahaprasadam in those days. So she said that this is, very special. It will help you in your devotional journey. So I, without even fully understanding, fully knowing the depth of what this Mahaprasadam is, I very clearly remember that, one evening she gave and Maharaj was there. So I personally remember that some interest, some depth in Krishna consciousness increased, or my affinity, attachment towards Jayapataka Maharaj increased. If I recollect back, it is definitely that was one of the important moment, or the first formal or informally formal connect with Jayapataka Maharaj that started. And since then, our regular meeting with Jayapataka Maharaj used to be in Chennai Rath Yatras. Chennai Rath Yatra is our like a annual festival, because that's the only temple that we know where we could go spend 3-4 days. So that's how my spiritual life began, and my earlier days were only excuse me, were only around the Namhatta where I belonged to, and the Namhatta where we belonged eventually grew, and the journey continued.
Thank you so much for your journey in Krishna consciousness. So my next question is, what would be your advice to the neophytes who is coming into Krishna consciousness, and how can they develop their Krishna consciousness?
It's very intriguing question, because this makes me think and look at the cross section of different generations, because when we grew up, the society, ecosystem, family values, our relationship with the elders, they're all completely different. I definitely feel, when I'm currently seeing what I'm seeing, what upbringing we have been given, we may not have had the posh silver bonnet, silver spoon arrangement, but we were given a very rich cultural, growth. I very clearly remember that my parents instilled in me what is called as respecting elders and respecting tradition. So the current neophytes, current people who are coming new to Krishna consciousness, I would give 3 pieces of advice or 3 recommendations. One, for sure, please align your life with some bona fide, sustained devotee, because philosophically we may not be convinced, or we may not understand the depth of it, or we may not even comprehend in the earlier days. Apart from chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra is important, and various other things, which is very important, which is good enough. But by philosophical depth and comprehension may not happen, but a relationship with a bona fide and committed devotee will be very, very vital, because at least this is from the perspective of both the preacher, who need to consider a neophyte as his family or give his love and care, and a neophyte or early devotee should somehow latch on to such a relationship. And the second thing that I would definitely encourage is, please work, behave, relate with seniors in such a manner that you are able to execute one committed service, one simple but consistent service. This is by my personal realization, because what Balram Krishna Prabhu did was, every day, every Saturday evening, there used to be a small public program. After initial few weeks, he said, that time my name was he used to call me by my Karmi name, so that your services every Saturday, you should bring Tulsi Maharani from your house, because we used to do Tulsi Puja in that gathering. If you only do this much, bring every Saturday Tulsi Maharani to come there. She need to be dressed, she need to be taken care, she need to be taken up, and my service was to play mridanga. So this, because of this service, my consistency, I never used to miss, or never had a chance to miss a program. So my second recommendation is, the relationship, which is what I said, will get much enhanced, serious, deeper, if you somehow or other able to work under, serve under, pick up a smallest service. It need not be some big, massive things. Some smallest service which you are able to be answerable. Because if I don't come, he will question me why you didn't come. Because if I did not take Tulsi Maharani, that particular part of the function will be, incomplete. So that sense of responsibility was instilled. So I used to, whether it is exam, rain, or anything, seldom I used to miss. And a third thing which I learned in a hard way, in a very wrong way, I started, but eventually somebody corrected me, is, please learn to respect your immediate family. The reason I'm saying is that in Krishna consciousness growth, sometimes your family may not understand your Krishna consciousness, may not appreciate your Krishna consciousness, may not know what you are doing. They may be suspicious, they may be doubtful, they may be questioning. But I did this, I used to see my parents, my sister, my family members, that they are in Maya. I am some sort of a advanced devotee. I know Bhagavad Gita. I know Krishna as Supreme Personality of Godhead. I used to worship. So in my house, even though we are a traditional Smartas, we had a big altar sorry, of various demigods. So I used to have a separate altar, separate worship. I did a lot of funny things. And the biggest problem was, I had an arrogance to think that I know Krishna consciousness and these people are all in complete Maya. The reason I'm saying is this: at the early stage of our Krishna consciousness, we are definitely given a privilege to practice something which is unique, pure, and bona fide, which otherwise many people are not doing. So from that perspective, it is a privileged arrangement. But we need to build in a quotient of respect. Excuse me. There's a quotient of respect that we need to build in within ourselves. If we are not learning to respect, the whole Krishna consciousness growth will be slightly sporadic and it will not be. So my idea is that Trinatapi Sunichena verse, which we later explain in the serious stages of Krishna consciousness, it has to be, somewhere the seed for that should be sown. We think, or I have seen this by and large, either people are completely disrespectful towards, their family, near and dear ones, Here the idea is be respectful, because your being respectful will gain lot of visibility for your practices in Krishna consciousness, that they will come to Krishna consciousness. My not being respectful is that as soon as you joined ISKCON, you see how you became arrogant. As soon as you joined ISKCON, you see how you are not trying to do your duties nicely. So generally families don't think that the mistake that you're doing could be yours, not that somebody is teaching you that. Because they love you, they want to put a tag on someone. My son is suddenly behaving something differently. Maybe ISKCON is teaching that. So I did a lot of such funny things, and eventually I had to learn it in a hard way, and I definitely asked for forgiveness to all those people to whom I misbehaved. So I definitely want to encourage all the younger ones to, or the new junior ones, neophyte ones, to please be respectful. The world has got plenty of things to teach us in the journey to Krishna consciousness. And in bad times, in difficult times, families are the only one who will stand with you. Not that you need to agree with everything that they say. You can agree to disagree if it's possible. But at least don't be disrespectful. This is for two reasons. One is to also instill faith in them that this process is making me good. Second is that's the right way to conduct oneself.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for such a detailed reply for this question. It's really helpful, actually. Actually, I was about to ask the 3 important traits which a neophyte wants to follow, but you very well replied about that. So my next question is, what brought you to this Bhakti Sangha group? And yeah, so what do you think that what changes you want to make in this Bhakti Sangha?
I'm not sure if I want to bring in any changes. I really want many more people to take advantage of this Bhakti Sangha and Japa group. In fact, when I first visited United States in 2005, that time there used to be only one group of devotees used to do this morning chanting. It was very, very unusual for me, because in India we never had this system of remotely logging in and participating. And eventually over the years, this initiative grew, and now it is almost like an established a temple or a preaching center without infrastructure, without physical infrastructure. We are almost like running like a full-fledged temple. We have a full morning program. We have Bhagavatam class. We have Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Bhagavat class. We have kids program. We have festivals being celebrated. So I have wonderful appreciations for Bhakti Sangha Japa group, to all the leaders and all the organizers to have done this. So I'm not sure if there is anything that I can add or room for improvement for this. But if at all I want to say some suggestions, is that somewhere or other, these all preachers who are facilitating, and as well as the participants, in some capacity, they kind of contribute back in their own local yatra. And if somebody comes and shares the best practices that is happening, because what is happening is, here in this forum, we are discussing a lot of philosophy, a lot of realizations. We need to eventually scale this up into an application and implementation in one's life. So most of my classes or discussions, I constantly reflect and think only on how to apply in this particular verse, whatever that is spoken, how to apply this in life. What is that direct application associated from this learning in our own lives? So it's not that you're not all doing, many people are definitely applying, but the idea is that if some sort of a best practices, how did somebody go ahead and applying? Krishna consciousness should not just be a part of our life. Krishna consciousness should be way of life. I'll give you a small statistics. which is my own statistics with limited proofs. Today, if suppose there are 1,000 devotees in ISKCON, and 1,000 devotees have got 300 children in their family, 150 of them are not becoming devotees. So, which means 50% of the devotee children are not becoming devotees. And my analysis is that 50% of the reason why this 50% is not becoming devotees is because of the parents being a hypocrite or not applying Krishna consciousness correctly. So somehow or other, we should in the forum on a regular basis should talk about application. How did you go ahead and apply? Philosophically, there is no disagreement. When it comes to application, there is disagreement, non-cooperation, misunderstanding, miscommunication, because Kali operates in that zone. So, and sometimes it needs some boldness to come openly and try to express, this is the mistakes that I have done in the past. I used to always encourage our people. I should come forward and say that, yes, in my life, I did this mistake and I am trying to correct it. If I state my mistake and how I corrected it, I may get exposed, but at least I am coming out clean and telling several people how I handled the situation. So this is my long-term desire. At some point in time, in some forum, people speak about application. So in Bhakti Sangha, I'm sure several devotees are doing several wonderful application. Application is just not devotional skills application. Application is about devotional values application. How did you manage in dealing with the outside world, family, children, upbringing, urges, finances, pain, pleasure? So if certain things are shared, it will give lots and lots of moral boost. So people do not know how to apply. So when they speak about this, people can draw several lessons around it.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. And one more question was how you got connected to Bhakti Sangha?
Okay. I used to regularly visit Houston. I was assisting ISKCON of Houston for setting up their Goswami Academy school. So His Holiness Hanumat Prashek Maharaj, whom I met in Europe. I was part of Ministry of Education, and Hanumat Prashek Maharaj encouraged, actually made this connection with the ISKCON of Houston. And I regularly used to come for ISKCON of Houston. And when I visited there in 2016-17, devotees asked me to give some classes, Bhagavatam classes or some weekend classes. So few of the Matajis of ISKCON of Houston, they are part of Bhakti Sangha group. So they kind of invited me for sessions. I used to take both Bhagavatam as well as Chaitanya. Those days Chaitanya Charitamrita was going on. And somehow by the blessings of all the Vaishnavas, I'm still surviving there. I've not yet been given a red slab, red tag. I'm hoping that I'll be given shelter. It's a very nice forum. Definitely very nice. I constantly look forward.
We will not actually leave you, Prabhuji. Your realizations are really very wonderful, which helps us to go through also. As you said, that we have to apply what we are learning. So in that, maybe like hearing your classes will give that hope that, okay, I should realize, as how Prabhuji is saying, like I have to realize all these things. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. And one more question is like, who is your inspiration in Bhakti, Prabhuji?
I have 8 devotees who I consider as my role models, and I keep looking up to them. And whenever I think about them, I definitely get goosebumps, and I really look up to them. Just that my knowing they are there in my life makes Krishna consciousness meaningful. I mean, you may see so many problems in and around your preaching initiatives, in your own circle of friends, families. Several people give several reasons ISKCON will not grow. We have so many politics, this problem, managerial problem. In spite of all of those things, just by knowing these devotees are there, I have definitely developed some sort of conviction that Krishna consciousness is about your own individual agenda. It has nothing to do. Like it is like I used to always tell to my students, it is you, Guru, Krishna, Bhagavad Dham. Rest everybody else are in the gallery. Everybody else are support systems, or somebody is coming on the way. So it is, don't blame, don't question, don't Yesterday I read a interesting quote of Mahatma Prabhu. The self-torture. He says the self-torture is the only person who can cause pain to you is you. So it's a very interesting point. So my role model, if I can name few of them, I may not be able to name all the 8. I'll definitely want to name one is my own Guru Maharaj, is Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj. Since 34 years, I have been under his care and shelter, and his personality really, his personality, his approach, his conviction towards this process. So I did not become his disciple just because it was his zone and I only know him. He's very personally, I built my bonding with him, and for sure the local inspirations were there. So number 1 is Jayapataka Maharaj. Number 2 is His Grace Jananivas Prabhu. If you know, he is the head pujari of ISKCON of Mayapur. His Grace Pankajangri Prabhu, and these are all a few names that I can share. And there are other people, other devotees. Of course, His Holiness Hanumat Prashek Maharaj is one amongst them, because I have literally seen how they have applied bhakti, because these people, at least with respect to Hanumat Prashek Maharaj or Jayapataka Maharaj, or there's one more devotee Prabhupada disciple by name is Grace Bhaktarupa Prabhu. So these are all people where I have personally meaning been with them in and out of their ashram, and their habits, behavior, how they see Prabhupada's instruction, how they have conducted themselves in their life, how they are conducting themselves are very, very, very nicely, very inspirational, and far away from the expected behavior. But I'm sure when I'm going to be in their shelter, I'll be able to do something insignificantly significant. So these are all 4 names that I could share. There are a few more. They're very personal, but I guess these 4 names are good enough for anyone to latch on to learn some lessons from.
Definitely, Prabhuji. It's really wonderful to hear the great personalities whom we have got inspired by. Hearing itself is it's like honey to the ears, hearing their names. So thank you so much, Prabhuji. And my one more question is like, you have time, Prabhuji?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so one more question is like, how do you practice your sadhana daily, Prabhuji? How you are consistent in your sadhanas? So if you share, it will be helpful for us to follow also for the neophytes.
Oh boy, I'm not sure if I am there yet to say I'm a consistent as expected in a practicing devotee. So definitely I have my challenges. So I do not want to paint a rosy picture saying that I am, an ideal devotional practitioner. So I want to confess to this entire forum that I'm equally a sadhaka, and I have my own shortcomings and challenges and weaknesses and bad days of sadhana. So, so I cannot be a role model example from that perspective, but for sure, I definitely am happy to say that I'm struggling, because that struggle is part of our sadhana to Raganuga. From a perspective you keep, because the very word struggling to be situated in Krishna consciousness tells your interest in practicing Krishna consciousness. So that much I can vouch, saying that I am not giving up the struggle. Sometimes I climb 4 steps forward, come back 2 steps. So practically speaking, because of my profile, both professionally as well as socially, I'm pretty much a very extremely busy and occupied person. So there are days where I'm not able to do my morning sadhana. Sometimes I may have to do while I'm traveling. Thankfully, I have a driver who drives me around. So there's a comfort of me having a driver in India. So whenever I travel, so basically there are days where I'm not able to chant in the morning hours. So, and there are days where there are really bad days too. But for sure, what keeps me going are our sadhu sanghas, because we have regular programs. So my reading is, because of these programs, my reading is consistent. I regularly read. I regularly, sorry. So I regularly read and I regularly participate in the satsang programs where I have to speak. So I prepare. So both for my own personal reading as well as for the lectures, I prepare a reading, and I also regularly hear. And I say regularly, it is not like a daily routine, but got disconnected. So I was just saying that, shall I say, continue?
Yeah. Yes, Prabhuji, please.
Yeah, so I was saying that with my consistency in this struggle and not giving up giving up myself to the evil things is some positive. I'm saying I'm not saying I'm not failing. I'm saying that I'm fighting, and for sure with this, all the sanghas and all the blessings are helping me in that cause. So I would definitely seek everyone's blessings, and I'm sure every sadhaka has got this stage of struggle. Just that if we join hands and say that, somebody said this to me, rather than telling Krishna your problem, you tell your problem Krishna. So probably you will have a better way to see the situations. So in all the challenges and pain, we tell that we have Krishna with us. So we are able to pass through those stages, and in all these ups and downs, we are able to manage to still stay put in Krishna consciousness. And one thing that I personally try to stay put is also about ready to ask for forgiveness whenever I realize I have made some mistakes. I have no shy. So to ask for forgiveness. So I want to maintain that spirit. For some situations, I may not have asked because I may not have realized. But as soon as I realize if I made some mistake, I don't have a problem in asking for forgiveness. So these are all my strategies to somehow stay within this struggle. And I'm sure a day will come where I would be more serious in Krishna consciousness.
Haribol. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for giving your time and association. So with this, I think we can end up the call. So thank you for giving your time. And it was really a wonderful interview with you. And hopefully it will help all the devotees who are all watching it. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
We can stop the recording, Mataji.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.